$199,000 to execute that plan. The total cost of this plan, what we will execute for 3 years, is $729,000 of your road millage money. The execution rate of road millage funds over the life of this plan will be in excess of 100%. So as the road millage money is coming in, it will be spent on your roads. That concludes what I wanted to brief you on, and I am finished, subject to your questions. Thank you.
Does anybody have questions on this for Ralph, or any concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Is that information on the website? There aren't enough copies for people to see?
No, ma'am, and the reason it's not is this is the first time I've had the opportunity to present this in public. Will it be? Yeah. Yeah, it will. If I had $1 million a year, okay?
Please spend it.
I could not get all your roads done, and that's a fact. If you think that you're going to do 10 years of road millage and you're going to be done and you're going to be good to go for a bunch of years, it doesn't work that way. The roads up here, if you're not paying attention to them every 3 to 5 years, you're in trouble. Yes, sir.
Will there be any cost savings to combining 3 and 5 on here for 52nd Street between Elm and Locust?
I looked at that, and I cannot guarantee you that, and I'll tell you why. Because the way the Newaygo County Road Commission works, I do not set their schedule. I thought the same thing too. It would be really nice if I'm doing these projects that are close together. There may be, but I can't guarantee you that. Yes, ma'am.
I have kind of a small, silly question here, but could you explain what wedging is?
That's not a silly question. That's a very good question, because I've had to get educated on that term too, okay? What that is that's a way they come in where you see a failed shoulder, you see a shoulder that's sunken and it's all cracked up, and they come in there and they remove that layer, they reestablish the base, and then they do the overlay and seal it of it. And when you're seeing a seal and you're seeing a wedge, you're seeing an overlay, those are different degrees of intrusion into that road surface. And it does drive the cost. The way that they do this, the least amount of intrusion they can do on that road to get us the product they will. And I'll be honest with you, if you say that the life of the road before you have to address it is 3 to 5 years, and you do these processes, you double and triple the life of that road. Because if you didn't do anything with it, it'd start to fail. It's just like a parking lot. If you are not sealing a parking lot or a driveway, it will fail. And you extend the life by doing the sealing.
Well, not to interrupt you, but 3 and 5, I believe, you have wedge and overlay 52nd Street, which is, the wedge is where the crown is broke. They put the wedge in, and then they would repave the entire road. That's an overlay. Yeah. Wedge and reseal, which is number 5, is the same road, doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
I think of what 3 and 5, along with your question,
it
is doing the wedging and then put the chips and seal, where you see them just boil down the tar and then they throw the rocks.
Yeah.
That's the reseal. So the overlay is putting a layer of pavement over the whole road.
That's correct.
The reseal is doing the just the chip and seal. If you notice Locust going north to Hilltop, when you hit the bumps all over where they've wedged the sides of the roads to try to bring them back up, that's what they do, and now they'll come back and reseal that. That's what they're doing there. That's the wedge and reseal versus a wedge and overlay.
I want you to know one thing too. If in fact they choose to adopt this plan to attack the roads, we're not done. That means I still have to go out and start assessing roads, like Division that's right over here, because I've driven that the other day and took a look at how it's starting to fail. As I drive around, that's what I do, and I make notes on them. And we will start compiling a list as we execute this 3-year plan, so we can get ready for the next 3-year plan.
Thank you. I have a better understanding now.
And I don't think, some people don't know that, but when we passed our road millage, we could take the money to the county and we were matched 50%. But if we went to do one of these road projects like this, they would match us 50%. They no longer do that. Their funding is cut so far back, they don't have the match anymore to do this. So the more and more it's fallen over on us until things come back up that way. And it don't look like it is in our meetings with the road commission that that's coming back up, so the dollars here don't go quite as far as they used to either, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any life expectancy for these repairs? How long are they projected to last once you make them?
That's a good question, and boy, I'm gonna give you a bad answer. That's very dependent on the weather. That's, you know, you get into areas up, and I'll use 56th Street as an example. If you ride 56th Street from Nicosta all the way down to Hardy, you'll notice that in the south lane, that road is just all potholed. And the reason that's like that is because you have all those trees that provide perpetual shade for the frost. The only thing you could do is try to seal it to keep the frost and moisture from getting in there. I would say that you do that, you're good. You're doing 3 to 5 years by doing that, rather than trying to repave the whole thing. I remember back in '94 when I came up here, that road was not well paved, or it had been paved a million times with potholes. It was terrible. And we're just trying to prolong the life as long as we can. It should double the life expectancy of the road.
And I think that's exactly what the guy told us that day. It was
Yeah.
3 to 5 on the reseal,
Yeah.
7 to 10 on the overlays.
Right.
Give it a little more life if you read.
It's money well spent.
Well, the only reason I ask is because we all see potholes and we see
Oh, yeah.
what seems like the same ones keep cropping up year after year after year, you know?
And you notice I didn't address potholes at all. And there's a reason for that. In my former life, I had to maintain a garrison that had a whole bunch of 26 miles of road that I had to do exactly what's being done right now. And that's make the people feel good that you're doing something. You shovel this stuff in the hole, you tamp it down with the vehicle, and you hope it stays in it until after the first rain. And then, I mean, it's the best you can possibly do. But it is by no means a long-term fix. Yes, sir.
When you overlay a road, how much asphalt do you put on that?
I will not answer that for the county, other than to say that they'll take out whatever they see is the affected area, and then they'll come back and they'll replenish that. They'll bring it up to how it was originally put in.
An asphalt paved road is different than a chip and seal road.
That is correct.
Does an asphalt overlay road ultimately require chip and seal over top it?
I asked about chip and seal. They don't do that process anymore like they used to.
Basically, these overcaps are about
Yeah.
1.5 inches is what they put over for the
overlay?
The overlay.
Yeah.
The chip and seal is not the same thing.
No.
The chip and seal, like I say, is where they'll come through and just, where you, like Elm or Locust is the best example I can give. They've laid the wedges, now this year they're gonna come back and do the tar
The
and
sealing reference here, is that chip and seal?
chip and seal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's primary, sir, to keep the surface is free of water and ice and that getting down in there. And that's what does it. The freeze thaw cycle just beats them to pieces.
It's not like the seal you put on this parking lot.
Right.
No.
On the overlays then, are they milled first?
Yes, absolutely.
The
That's
road-
exactly what they do.
They'll mill out and
They
then.
come
No,
in.
no.
Yeah, they do. They excavate it.
I don't think they do, not on the overlays. I would say no, because all the ones I've seen them do, they wedge, and they bring the edges up, and then they just pave right across the top.
Yeah, when they get out, I've watched them here, and I know what you're talking about, a roto-strip and a roto-mill, where you just absolutely mill the thing right down the base. Yeah, they don't do that, but they do excavate it out until they get to where they can stabilize it.
Place that's failed.
But a roto-mill, no, they don't use roto.
And make those solid base. I guess I'm confused as to why an asphalt surface in a parking lot needs to be sealed, yet the roads, our public roads are not sealed.
And you know, that was one of the purposes in the old days of chip and seal. That was what they actually wanted to do, is just like you're saying, and they put the stone down in it to give you traction on those roads. That was a system they've used in multiple states I've lived in.
I like what they did on 72nd. They
Yeah.
put the tar down, the stone, and then they sealed it again.
Yeah.
And that,
And I'll tell you, sir, having the little I've worked with the Newaygo County Road Commission, They have got a whole bunch of very professional folks.